We are the Future Midwives, and we're talking today about courses, careers after the access course throughout midwifery. I'm Tasha, and this is Steph, Jackie and Vicky. Our career path. What I want to do is go to Greenwich University to study midwifery and hopefully work my way up and work on the labour ward throughout.
I'm planning to go to Middlesex. It's now my last choice and I've got my test tomorrow. If I don't get in this year, I'm going to reapply next year, maybe do some travelling, get my life back maybe. The reason why I want to go to London is for the experience. At hospitals, you get a big range of people in. I think it'd be really good for different scenarios.
I've got a conditional offer from University of Bedfordshire, so I will actually be starting in September. And the main reason I chose it was because the stats were good and also because it's quite close to home and to small children.
I'm also doing midwifery and I'm waiting to hear back from Northampton and City University. I want to go to City more because it's got a real diverse, social people there. And I think as well, I'd love to work in London, a place like that. Even though I have children, I think it'd be a great place to work. The university selection criteria. When you're in Newcastle, you get to decide where you want to go for university. Location is probably the key main factor. Whether you've got children you want to be closer to home, or it's somewhere where you don't want to be at home, somewhere totally different. The accommodation, if you want to live on the university site, then some universities do the halls, and you can see in the area if they've got student houses where you can share accommodation. Also, the university stats, just to make sure your chosen university has a good pass rate, where you've got good opportunities after you graduate. And the support, does your university have a big support network? Because if you're struggling financially, emotionally, or just need a bit of support, it'd be a good idea to look into that, see if they've got that there for you.
What the course consists of is broken down into 3 years, and the first year consists of foundation midwifery, so it's the basics. And you also do quite a variety of different things, like you go into nursing wards, just to kind of get an idea of the hospital life and experience, and you also will be doing deliveries. Then your second year is kind of like a psychological side, you do a lot of mother and baby relationships, so you do breastfeeding, just general bonding, and also more deliveries. Your third year, you specialise in understanding, and you do your dissertation, and that's your final thing. So it's just a really high up, kind of your band 5, ready to go to hospitals. And then, if you wish, you can do an even more advanced level of midwifery, which is your master's. Barriers to completion. Normally it's a lack of time and support, and what I've sort of found out from news reports is single parents sort of struggling with the income and kind of keeping a really good balance on things. And time for your children is really, really crucial, I think. If you can't kind of get a good balance, I think you need to kind of, when you're choosing your university, choose what blocks are good and which blocks aren't. And childcare costs as well. Failure to meet responsibilities, once again this is kind of in the news. There's a lot of people that kind of follow the one born every minute and call the midwife kind of standard, and it really isn't that in reality. And a lot of people, I think it was 5%, drop out in their 6-month period. Money, if you're doing a full-time course, if you're going part-time, obviously you're going to have a bit of a cut, and sometimes working full-time and studying, working in a hospital, you won't be getting paid for it. Stress, meeting deadlines, once again children, childcare, if you have children you get an emergency, things like that, what you're going to do. And the emotional concept of the job, it's not going to be all flowers and daisies, there's going to be some crisis.
Research in midwifery. I think being a isn't one of the main things people think about when graduating as a midwife, but it's a big part of midwifery. It addresses like ways to improve practice and have a positive effect on mothers and their families when they're experiencing pregnancy, labour and the afterbirth. And it's always needed because there's always room to improve and make things better.
Specialisms in midwifery. There is such a large variety, so I kind of had to cut it down. But your maternity midwives, this is kind of what you are when you've kind of passed your degree, you're band 5, normally in the ward, so it's quite medical. Some women, unfortunately, get diabetes when they're pregnant, so you can kind of support these women by outside groups, so like counselling, educating, just a general support, making sure what drug dose you need and what food you have. Teenage pregnancy, it is more again an educational thing, kind of teaching a woman parenthood, breastfeeding classes, support and infant feeding, again breastfeeding classes, which goes on to the next midwife. Just go back. You promote it and support women, and that support could be women that can't unfortunately breastfeed. And I've heard from a lot of women in here that you can feel like you failed a tiny bit. So I think it's really, really good if you have that support and just kind of keeping track of things outside of just the ward-based.
Teaching. Teaching's a good thing to go into. You prefer to teach everything instead. It's a way of showing students the theory before they go into practice and making sure they're ready for practice. You have to already hold a degree and have extensive practice learning, so you already have to have skills to be able to be an educator. And those studying to become educators will work towards a postgraduate diploma in education.
Continuous professional development. As Steph said, when you qualify, you'll start off at band 5, which you start off at around 21,000 a year. But as you work your way up after the first year, you get yourself to about band 6, and you can continue to get yourself up to band 8 as a midwife consultant. You can take specialist routes, like as Steph was talking about, holistic specialism, teaching, whichever kind of direction that you wish to go into.
There's quite a lot of opportunities for postgraduate employment. You may decide to be hospital-based. Next slide. There's midwifery-led birthing units and community midwives. The hospital-based one, this is the route that a lot of people tend to take because it's what they're familiar with, it's what they've experienced when they've been doing their training in a lot of situations. In the hospital, obviously you deal with a whole range of birth situations. You can have a normal delivery, you might have a multiple birth, it might be C-section, forceps, inductions, all sorts of different things. As I said, normal deliveries and also emergency situations. You could have an emergency that's originated on the delivery suite, or you might have one that's had to transfer in from home if there are complications, or even from a midwifery-led birthing unit. Also, you've got backup from more specialist staff on tap. You've got obstetric staff, neonatal staff, anaesthetists, and they provide a wide range of services to back up what you're doing on board. And also there's the opportunity there for theatre work, dealing with C-sections and any issues that might arise from a traumatic birth, like suturing or maybe retained placenta, that sort of thing.
Community midwives are mainly based at your general practitioners or home visits as well. They help provide antenatal classes and care within the community. They help you to they run parent craft classes, so helping the new mother and their partner get ready for parenthood. They arrange scans, referrals to your consultants and making appointments as well. They do run blood tests before and after pregnancy, so before to test the child for diseases such as Down syndrome, that sort of thing, and also afterwards for your heel prick test with the child. Postnatal checkups as well. They have to go through home birth with you, the risks of home birth, whether it's planned or unplanned, what kind of things may happen, and if you do come into that situation, what you can do if you don't want to have a home birth. And also breastfeeding support as well. Once the child has been born, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of parents do feel like they have failed if they haven't succeeded to breastfeed.
Another option is a midwifery-led birthing unit, and this is often completely separate from a hospital and will be staffed pretty much entirely by midwives, so you don't have the other staff on site. They deal specifically with normal deliveries. If you've got a high-risk pregnancy, they will advise that you don't go there and that you actually transfer to a hospital. The midwives actually have full control over what's going on there. You don't get intervention from obstetric staff, and it makes it much more autonomous than being in a hospital environment for midwife. And also for the women, they tend to get one-to-one care more frequently because it is such a different environment where you don't have emergency situations occurring. And as I said, any complications that do arise would have to be transferred to hospital because they don't have the staff or the facilities to deal with it in a midwifery-led unit. So to summarise, the logical path or progression from what we're doing at the moment would be to go and do a midwifery degree at university, but you might decide that in the course of doing the access course, you decide maybe you don't want to do midwifery anymore. You might decide to do a different course, for example nursing, or maybe a completely different career altogether. At the end of the day, it's a very personal decision and your personal circumstances will play a huge part in your decision. But it is obviously important to make sure you do all research to make the right decision, and you do need to work hard, be committed, and good luck to everybody in their ventures. Does anyone have any questions?